Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 17 of the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast, where we talk about games and the game industry and cats. I am your host, Chris. Pumpkin. Oh my God. I am your host, Chris, joined by special guest Tom, who is a partner and tech lead at Multivarious. How are you doing, Tom?
Hey, doing all right.
Yeah.
Nice morning after a very mild storm that could have been worse, but
Yeah. Everyone was freaking out about the storms, and it was
a cool, surreal evening. The skies were like orange, and like I caught a double rainbow pick, so it's a good day.
There's Pumpkin.
Didn't
losing her
get
mind.
baseball-sized hail all over ourselves, so always a plus.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't have your chasey Pumpkin, so just go. Oh my Lord. So we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. Yeah, the joys of working from home, right? But first off, let's talk about you a little bit, Tom. Thomas
Sure.
Allenbaugh. So you have been a partner at MVG for over a decade here at Multivarious. You're the programming lead, the tech guy, but you didn't start that way, right? You want to give us a little, just quick, maybe 30-second background on you?
Sure. I kind of grew up in Shelby County, Ohio, and had a lot of interests of different sorts. Like it's kind of just a curious, like I enjoyed chess club and choir, and I was a social studies, like I was in the AP classes. Like I enjoyed the English classes. I wasn't I enjoyed STEM as well, but I just wasn't like, I didn't like actively pursue it necessarily in high school. I was mostly I was like in the mock trial, was doing like the history kind of path, doing the history AP courses, was thinking about I started my degree at OSU as a history major, with focus on pre-law, and then I think I just took like a Java, just Java for like non-programmers like elective course, and got bit by the bug in like my like second semester. Yeah, it was like second semester, took that course, got bit by like a bug of like, oh wow, like you can like like build a system, like kind of iterate on it and make little changes, and like the computer will do what you want, and like you can get like immediate feedback, and like kind of seems limitless, like the possibility and like, but it also is like limitless and like the patterns and research that you have to do to like make use of it. So it's sort of like a kind of bit me in like that insatiable curiosity, kind of endless complexity, immediate feedback, kind of good for the OCD ADD brain. I've never been diagnosed with any I don't have, I've actually, I don't
Well,
think
we're going to
I've ever
diagnose you here on air.
visited.
That's our
Yeah, I've
surprise.
never visited a specialist of any kind to have my head looked at, but basically
I don't think having
was
an interest in something equates to
no, for sure. But like, I like had talks with people, and like that's sort of what programming, people who know that they have OCD are like, oh, I love programming because it gives you that immediate feedback of, yeah, you don't have to wait around for like to know if you did it right or not, usually. But yeah, so I got bit by the bug and kind of like switched everything over and like pursued it pretty heavily, and like within college, and kind of changed my specialties. And it was just like, cause yeah, like from the immediate first class, it was like, yeah, here's how to do a conditional, here's how to do a loop. Okay, like immediately you've got input output from that. You can make a simple text game or whatever. So just like the building blocks just came very obvious. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn, and I just got kept involved with the hobby groups, and met you and our other co-work business associates and friends, and yeah, it's just been a steady climb ever since. I feel like just learning more and more, building increasingly complex things together, and just like running a business, kind of figuring that out from
Yeah,
first principles, and um,
it's been
like
it's been a ride, huh?
yeah, like fairly successful, right? Like metrics, like how long businesses usually last. I think we're coming up on double up on the average, right? Like
Uh, yeah, yeah.
it's like what usually 7 years, they
Oh
something
no,
like
most
that.
businesses collapse within their like first three to five's pretty.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like I've seen like a chart where there's like kind of a
let's see
couple
what
of drop
Google
off
says.
points.
Yeah, yeah, there
Yeah,
definitely is.
and like I feel like 7 years was like the big drop off point I heard about at one point. That if you make it past the first year or two, then seven is like usually the end. But like doubling up on that and continuing to do bigger and more interesting things for more people, and
Uh,
don't really
So
see a reason why it would slow, like
on some quick
stop that
Google
progression.
searches here, this is all businesses, not necessarily ours, which has its own set of challenges. But most
Mm,
businesses take 2 to 3 years to be profitable. Yeah, yeah,
uh,
and can be considered once they've hit in the 7 to 10 year mark. The average lifespan of a small business is only 8.5 years. Okay, this says the
yeah,
average startup lasts between 2 and 5 years. 69%
yeah.
of small businesses survive 2 years. However, only 50% of startups survive 5 years. So there you go.
Yeah, so like by any even like any of those numbers, we've beaten. So
Hmm.
I feel like it's
I've
just nice, and been able to see other companies come up too, like other studios and around us, which
yeah,
is humbling and gratifying. So
yeah. I see you've
we're
got your GDEX shirt on. I
very
also
subtle,
have a
subtle branding.
I
Like,
also have a GDEX shirt on.
nice.
Um, yeah. So I've told this story before because starting a business is very hard, and particularly the one of the key sort of indicators on business success is access to early stage capital. And for people in our region doing what we do, you might be able to get some loans from a bank, but it's very unlikely you're going to get investor money or any kind of assistance. So that makes it really, really hard. But I remember once Jeremy and I, a friend, we were watching Bob's Burgers. And Bob's always kind of hard on himself. And he's talking. Somebody mentioned something about like, oh, you're running a successful business, and Bob's like, I wouldn't call it successful or whatever. Um, and I started thinking, I was like, how long has this show been on? And we looked it up, and at that time it had been like 11 years or 14 years or something like that. I was like, you know what? If you can run a business that covers your bills, takes care of your kids, puts a roof over your family's head for 11 or 14 years, like that seems like a success to me. And I think a lot of
Yeah,
times I do it where I just like, you look at where you are and where you thought you'd be, and you'd be like, man, I thought I'd be like way more successful. I'm 42 now. I was like, I didn't think I'd be still kind of grinding away at 42, but
mhm.
that's the reality of it is these big success, your Facebooks and whatever that you hear about, like those are very, 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 very rare. Very
Yeah.
rare.
Well,
Most companies are grinding away day to day.
I enjoy Bob's Burgers as like a modern take on the like concept of a nuclear family and like a single earner household, because like on paper they're a single earner household, but Bob's like putting everybody to work like behind the scenes, and
Yeah, yeah, it's a
it's like,
family restaurant.
yeah, because they're it's a closed or not a closed ecosystem, it's an ecosystem that supports itself. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
versus like that traditional model of like, oh yeah, you just go out and work and bring the earnings home and support those dependent people. Now it's like everybody's involved. You can do it from home.
Yeah.
It's very flexible and loose and chaotic, and some for good or for bad, it's chaotic. So yeah, Bob's Burgers is great. Just uh haven't like seen the last few seasons, but like yeah, it's
Oh,
just
really? There's a couple. I mean, we're getting off track here, but there is a couple. I think it was the Christmas episode of last year is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the best
all good.
pieces of TV I've ever seen. And there's some
Nice.
really great episodes, so I would definitely check that one out.
Glad they
Um,
kept the quality up. Like
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Oh yeah, it's great. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with some fun stuff. All right, you ready? All right, so we got a couple articles. Some of these are not great. So first up, Take-Two to acquire a Gearbox from Embracer for $460 million. So this is
messed up on Twitch. Hold on.
What's that?
Looks like on Twitch, it looks like the layout's a little garbled.
What?
Yeah, like it's not fitting in the panels like the scenes.
Oh no. Let me see what I can do. Oh, I bet I know what happened. Yeah, let me
Gotta delay to see if it worked or not. Yeah, you're doing it. It's like,
yeah, let me stop that. And then I need to fix it. I broke everything. I blame the
more engaged.
There we go.
There we go.
So it's really interesting. Discord, this kind of stuff seems to happen with Discord. So like when I do this, for example, I go and it gets messed up. You'll see it. It's because I'm jumping between my spaces on my Mac. So like this is a different space, and you know I kind of go like. But other stuff doesn't do that through OBS. So like if I showcase something else and switch spaces, Discord is a very particular beast, I suppose.
It's probably on Mac as well. I mean, they're scrambling to make this stuff work everywhere, and Discord's kind of huge. It's strange to think of a data platform that's moving more data on a regular basis for like the widest range of highly critical to like pointless data
use cases. All right, so let's go ahead.
Like AI researchers and stuff like that on Discord.
All right, Tom, thanks for letting me know. There we go. All right, so Take-Two, this is from gamesindustry.biz. It is by Christopher Dring. Take-Two to acquire Gearbox from Embracer for $460. Take-Two acquired developer Gearbox from Embracer for $460 million. The deal for the studio, which operates out of 3 offices in the U.S. and Canada. Gearbox, you know, they do Borderlands and whatnot. They will operate within Take-Two's label, or Take-Two's 2K label, and will continue to be led by founder Randy Pitchford. So I'm kind of curious about this because a couple things. The Embracer Group picked up Gearbox in a deal potentially worth $1.3 billion in 2021. This was mostly a performance-based fee with upfront costs of $363 million, of which $175 were in Embracer shares. It follows a $2 billion deal falling through for Embracer, resulting in multiple layoffs. So I'm just going to sort of say it, and the Embracer Group does not have the best record for a lot of this stuff. And I'm wondering if them getting away from Embracer into Take-Two might be a blessing for them. But I don't know. How do you feel about this? Embracer's been doing a lot of layoffs and stuff over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I'm less familiar with the publisher names in here, but like, I mean, I just like Take-Two kind of seems like they wear their brand on their sleeve. Like, I mean, you're like acquiring someone from another publisher after a bunch of problems. Like, I mean, what's Gearbox been working on? Do they have active projects right now? Like,
to be honest, I don't know. I have not followed. I mean, they did Borderlands 3 many years ago.
Yeah, I could see it. Like,
but I don't know what they're working on now.
I can see things from like the developer's perspective, and if it's like, it really highly depends on if they're gonna come in and like, I'll like kind of facilitate the existing efforts and like kind of align with where they wanted to go internally, and just have cash on hand for them, or if they're gonna like come in and say, oh, we're gonna scrap all the stuff that you're working on right now. It'd be kind of sucky if they got some hot in pre-production and got some really big ideas, and they get like a source of capital, and then they're just like being forced to do something they don't want to do. Like,
it sounds like they're just being sold. So I don't know how much. I don't know if Gearbox is going to get any money in this transfer. They're just being sold to a new company.
Could you post that link in the chat? Maybe the link to that article,
so you can look at it, or
Oh yeah, I wanted to open a tab with it. I wanted to,
Oh well, you don't have to read it while we're on the air,
okay,
but
that's fine. Yeah, that's fair.
I
It,
mean, all of these articles are on our weekly email.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, the big thing I think is just Take Two has its issues, but in general, I think the quality of the products that come out, of course, you've got Rockstar and stuff, um, are pretty strong,
Okay, it is the same 2K as 2K Sports. Okay, gotcha.
and the
Interesting.
Embracer Group is just like a man. They just seem like all they're interested in is making money, and they just keep throwing studios into the grinder. Uh,
Yeah,
and
that's. I think that's the thing. I've never heard of Embracer Group actually, so I'm looking them up. Okay.
yeah,
Um.
they've been in the
Yeah,
news. They've
like
been in the news a lot.
I can see. Yeah, it's the kind of thing I know of all of their like every company that they have acquired, but I don't know them specifically. It's kind of like Alphabet Group, you know. It's like everybody knows Google and all these other products, but not everybody's like thinking about Alphabet Group necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
2K, I mean, to me, like 2K is like the model of like annualized like kind of selling selling your patch update as a new game every year. So like that probably is good from a money perspective. Maybe Gearbox could make some kind of I don't yeah. It's just like my gut is like, are they just gonna make Gearbox like franchiseify one of their IPs and do it like face front like 2K label on it like
Um,
uh
I wouldn't think that. I mean, I think that.
Gears of War 2025.
Uh, well, yeah. I mean, Gears of War would
That'd be
be
kind of
a,
nuts.
a different company, but um, Gearbox is going to be Borderlands. So if they're
Borderlands 2025, right?
yeah, so if they're buying Borderlands, it's because they want the IP and they're interested, and maybe they got a deal from Embracer Group. It sounds like Embracer might be selling at a loss here, but yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be better for them in the long run. Personally, I think the farther you can get away from Embracer, the better, in my humble opinion. All
Yeah,
right, let's.
it's already borderlands.2k.com, so they're
Oh
moving
wow,
fast.
they move fast. Okay,
It's already subdomained.
all right.
Uh, they
Well
already
then,
got it forwarding.
let's check this out. This is just quick. Nintendo confirms testing layoffs. So Nintendo, this is from IGN. Isaiah Colbert. So Nintendo for a while was one of the companies that was not part of the layoff group, but looks like that has come to an end. So in a statement, Nintendo acknowledged it's restructuring its internal testing. So for all assignments that are ending, the contractors agencies with Nintendo America's support will offer severance packages and provide assistance during transition. So that's great. For those contractor associates who will be leaving us, we're tremendously grateful for the important contributions they've made to our business, and we extend our heartfelt thanks for their hard work and service to Nintendo.
Wild.
So yeah, they're getting rid of their testing group. This is not their QA group. I think this is like their hardware testing group, and they are
Mm.
bringing on some other people in different capacities. But looks like even Nintendo is going to have to do some. Now the thing is, with these layoffs, I know everyone's losing their mind about them, and I think in some respects they're valid. But like every company is going to lose people and gain people throughout its time, right? Like that's just how it
Mhm.
works. You need people and then you don't need people, and so there's a kind of this ebb and flow. It's never like this sort of. I guess it would be like,
Yeah,
but there's a wave to it. Um,
especially at Nintendo. I mean, the hardware testing is like kind of legendary because, I mean, they've always kind of been half a step ahead on a lot of stuff on the hardware side, and
and a decade
it seems
behind on
like
the internet stuff.
yep, decade behind on the actual like what people are using collectively. But
Yeah,
that may signal just that they feel much more settled in their terms of like their research, and they're like not taking any like big research risks right now. Like,
yeah. Well, it sounds like some of this too has to do with the Switch 2, where it's not ready for testing and stuff. So there's kind of what they're saying is a lull
Yeah.
in this department. And so instead of having people sit around, they're letting people go. Sounds like they're going to get a severance package and stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
nowhere near like the almost 2,000 people, Microsoft laid off a couple of months ago when we talked about it. So, it's not great, but I think it
Yeah.
definitely could be worse.
Hopefully they keep around those folks that have all the experience with like from like the Wii and onward, pretty much like
Hmm.
all the crazy stuff they've been cooking up. Uh,
Yeah. So that brings up an
I,
interesting point of conversation too for so I beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth the other week.
mm,
I went back now and I'm replaying Remake on hard mode. But in an interview, I think it was the project director, might have been the creative director, whatever, I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Said that for the third part of Final Fantasy remake, the trilogy, that they actually already have a ton of work done and they're making like great progress already, even though the second game came out. Because from remake to rebirth, they said they kept like over 80% of their staff from the one project to the next. And it sounds like a lot of people are continuing on with this project. So it really is one of those things where it's like, when you don't have to hire new people, when you don't have to get them up to speed on the project, when you don't have to, I mean, we're NDA'd, but we just got done with a project last year where, what, 80% of the tech team's time was just learning the tools?
mhm.
Like you spent so much time just learning all the tool sets and the various like middleware solutions they have
Yeah.
for stuff. And when you don't have to do that,
Onboarding.
yeah, onboarding people, when you don't have to do that, you can really keep that momentum going. So there's a lot of people, it remake came out in 2020, rebirth came out this year. There's a lot of people that are hopeful that whatever the next one will be, reunion. A lot of people are saying is maybe might only be 3 years, even though the game might be bigger than the second part. The third part might actually come out earlier because they already have that foundation built with the second part, and they already have the team there. So
They,
yeah,
they built the pipeline, and now they can spend the entire cycle just moving content through the pipeline,
yeah, yeah,
which is sweet for them.
yeah,
Must
and
be nice.
yeah, and that's a thing that doesn't happen too much in the games industry. A lot of people, when you're moving from project to project, there is. I mean, the reality is, think about when you get any new job, right? It takes you like 3 months to kind of settle in, where you like start to know people's names and you know who you should contact for certain issues, and then you kind of get in the flow, the cadence of their dev cycle and what's expected when. Like that stuff just takes time, even if you've been in the industry for, I've been doing game development now for almost 15 years, and every project we work on is a little different.
Mhm.
Even projects that are
Even like
brought in house where we work on them, we still have to
right.
navigate and massage things around.
Even like the ways the team communicates with each other, like everything can be different from project to project, and
Mhm.
what the like expectations are, and it also like it's not only like like onboardings, it takes the time of both like the person being onboarded as well as the team that's doing the onboarding. Like everybody has to be involved for it to be a smooth process. So it's like everything's a balancing act, because you want to ideally you have as much of the original team and knowledge available. I mean, not only for just convenience of like knowledge on the top of people's heads, but also just so you don't have to worry about like, like copyright ownership of, what having some kind of draconian contract that, crushes like creativity, because, you don't want anybody to like leave the team and take their code with them, or take their, whatever processes that they helped refine with like a whole team, like a culture.
Sure.
So like, but it's, you do need like new blood. It's like this is a balancing act, because you if you go one extreme and you're like flushing the entire team every single cycle, maybe that's because you have the workflow down on like a purely technological, like you've got you know, you've literally like I'm sure like going back to like 2K Sports, like I'm sure 2K Sports is so ingrained, like the process is so ingrained that they can like if they need to, they can literally bring on a completely fresh team and be like, you know, here's the last 20 years of
I
here's the
don't
last
know.
20 years of games that we made.
I think
The next
when you do annualized products like that, you don't have any time to be messing around, you know?
training people, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why they probably literally they just have their 20 years of games that they made, and like a new person comes on the team, they're like, you're making the next one, follow the pattern. uh and then on the other end of is like if it's like super like nobody wrote anything down, everybody just built the game together and it was like a big magical experience, then you bring somebody new on and it is like a complete, you're just like trying to introduce someone to an entire culture or something like,
Hmm.
it's very multifaceted, high demand kind of labor. So most I think institutions would be good to strike a balance there and have enough process written down and kind of codified, like
Sure.
that you could have people completely on board themselves off of it if they must, but to have like the culture in the company to where the people who are already there want to help the newbies out and like want to get everybody, like they don't see it as like a, you're not training your replacement all the time or whatever. There's a lot of toxicity that could come out of that too, like
Oh, absolutely.
so like it's really hard for especially a large studio to ha- balance all those incentives and business pressures, and also be really like actually treat all their employees like people and individuals. And yeah, it's amazing that it happens as often as it does all across the world, like everybody working in their shops and
Yeah.
corporations and such.
Yeah. Well, uh hopefully it seems like the tide of layoffs has died down a little bit. So hopefully that's a plus. We'll loop in that in a couple stories here in a second. But just interestingly, I thought this was so. This is Video Games Chronicle. Pumpkin, can you got to find that perfect space, huh?
Sorry
Jack
for
Ryan.
Ross. Like he gets to get wailed on by bad news week after week, and then I come in and it's like, oh, it looks like the layoffs are abating. It's like, oh, good,
Well, we'll see.
good news time. Good, maybe good news.
Yeah. So Jim Ryan, this is Video Games Chronicle. Jordan Midler. Jim Ryan says PS5 is well on track to be Sony's most successful console ever. All right. Quote, I'd say right
Interesting.
now we're at the top of our game. We've been really clear and really consistent about what we stand for: great consoles, great console gaming experience, great games. I'd say that right now we're at the top of our game. PlayStation 5 is well on track to be the most successful console ever across multiple vectors. And I think the games, Pumpkin, I think the gaming experiences you see on PlayStation 5, led by PlayStation Studios, are the best we've ever seen. Um, so, Tom, you're not much of a console gamer, right? You're more
Not really.
in the PC space. You're too cool for that.
Yeah, I guess the guy switched over to PC around like after the GameCube. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Do you still use a do you use a controller or do you do everything mouse and keyboard?
oh yeah. I got a actually got a Xbox because Windows. So like if you're on a Windows machine, Xbox is the most native type of
Mm-hmm.
controller. But like I definitely familiar with DualShock, and there's a lot of game styles that I really don't want to play with mouse and keyboard. Like
Sure.
wouldn't want to play Elden Ring with a mouse and keyboard, although I guess you could. It'd be
Yeah.
miserable.
I mean, I don't know.
It
Some people
might be
love
okay
it.
for the platforming
Yeah,
parts,
I
but
think the PS5's Dual Sense controller I think is the best controller out in the market right now. Not counting.
I haven't gotten to hold the new one, the
Oh yeah,
PS5
it's
one.
it's great. And when you play like games like Astro's Playroom, which is pretty much just like a tech demo game, but it's really fun. You can really see. Although there's certain things like the haptic triggers, I turn those off because some games, Borderlands is a great example where like each gun has a different kind of firing resistance on the trigger, but some of them are like real tight. And you're just like, ugh, like you really
Oh,
feel like you have to push. And I was just
that's
like,
really neat.
it's cool, but it makes my fingies tired.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That's really cool that they can actually like resist being pressed
yeah, it's
conditionally.
uh, Astro's playroom is really neat. Like there's you're just this little robot guy, and like you're walking around, and when you change from like walking on dirt to grass to metal, like you can feel it and how the vibration happens. There's a part where it's raining, and like it feels like little drips of water are hitting the controller.
Wow.
It's really neat, and I just like the I like the contour of it. I like that. It feels ergonomic for me. But I'm kind of curious because the PS2 is currently the best selling console ever. Nintendo is saying the Switch is right behind it, but Sony is here saying that PS5 is possibly set up to be the best. So, yeah, do you think we'll see a new champion in the Switch or the PS5? Do you think Sony will maintain its dominance as the number one console
Yeah, I mean
manufacturer?
it almost like it's like my kids my so we got a PS3 and a PS4 in the house. And just with that, like, I mean, that sort of implies that there will eventually be a PS5. So maybe that's sort of the bank. Like, they're looking out and seeing there's a lot of PlayStation house owners out there. Like, there's a lot of, they know there's a lot of households that have PlayStations, but not a PS5 yet. And they're seeing like economic conditions improve, and they're like, this is going to be like the year when a lot of households decide to make the jump finally. It's been out for a bit now, so like, and my household is PlayStation console household, and just hasn't been in the cards. I think it's not really been PlayStation any fault of the PlayStation that my household doesn't have one. I feel like the story might be the same for a lot of folks. It's been kind of tough out there. And PlayStation PS5 is kind of on the expensive side, so it's something like, I think a lot of households probably been wanting one but haven't been able to get one. So if that's the bet that they're making, and they want to come out with a big confident stance now because they are expecting the sales to come and back it up retroactively, obviously that looks great for investors. Love it when you call your shot. I'm sure that's
Mm-hmm.
like their favorite thing ever. It's probably worth it for for them to put out
Yeah.
really bold statements and
There is
say this
a
is the year.
there's a PS5 Pro, which I believe is coming out this year. I could be wrong, but I put my money on it against Ross that I think it's coming out this holiday season. Um, and yeah, I could see the
That's
PS.
going to
Good.
be a lot of aftermarket PS5s then. So
Yeah, there'll be a lot of used original PS5s if you don't want to go for the Pro. I imagine the PS5 Pro will be $500, but that's just my guess, which is not cheap. But I look at I've been trying to just personally. I think I've said this on the podcast before, but since before COVID, like 2019, but definitely during COVID, and since then, I've been trying to, uh, you know, we were in lockdown, business was rough. We weren't necessarily getting a lot of money. I had student loans, I had bills, and all this stuff. And so I was just like, you know what? I don't want to be in this position when COVID is over. And I didn't know if that was going to be 2 months or 2 years or what, right? And so I've spent the past since 2019, but really ramping it up since COVID, just paying off bills, taking care of stuff. So the only things I got left are I've got one loan, one personal loan left, and I've got my student loans that should be forgiven because I'm a teacher in June. So by the end of this year, fingers crossed, I should be completely out of debt. And so the reason I say that is because I look at my PS5 and a lot of like my students will actually, one of my students said this yesterday. They're like, man, I saw you were playing like FF7 Rebirth for like 8 or 10 hours the other day. And I was like, well, I do play it a lot. Don't get me wrong. But it's probably just because I walked away. Like I have a tendency to just walk away from the PlayStation because that's what I use for
yeah,
my TV. Like that's where I watch all my streaming content. That's where I play all my games. Uh, so if I look at the number of hours I've spent using that device for the $500 I paid for it,
hmm
I mean, since 2020, I wonder if there's a way. I don't know if there's a way to see on the PlayStation like dash or settings.
total usage
Yeah, total
time.
usage time. Um, but
I bet you
I
can see it for each game and like add it up. But
yeah, but that won't count like Twitch and YouTube and
Right.
Let me see. Can I see how long I've used my PS5? How to see how much time you spent
Sony
playing?
knows. They don't want to tell you, but they know. I guarantee they know how long
Oh,
you've
you can
used
spend
it.
in-game recently by highlighting them. I could just check the amount of time. I can do a time check on my TV for the amount of time it's been used, and with very few exceptions, for maybe when I was playing some Switch stuff, it's all PS5, and that would only be
Mhm.
since I moved in a year and a half ago. I probably will, if I look at it, it'll probably make me sad. It's probably like 7,000 hours or something. But anyway, the whole reason I'm telling the story is because I think if you are someone that enjoys gaming and you're trying to be mindful of your expenses, it's really easy to go out to a bar and spend $50 on drinks for a night,
Mhm.
drinks and
Yeah.
food. And then, you do that 10 times and you've covered your PS5.
That's a
But
PlayStation 5, right?
yeah, so I do think that even though 500 is a lot, if it's something where you enjoy gaming and you spend time at home, and the PS5, or sorry, not the PS5, the oh my god, I'm totally blanking on the PS. Oh my lord, the PS Plus. There we go, PlayStation Plus, the subscription thing. Um, I think it's like 150 a year now for like the top one, and you've got access to like a bazillion games. Like you'd never have
Mhm.
to buy a game, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Ultimate renting model. Yeah.
yeah, and so I just spent 120 hours on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so I got my money's worth on that. I did buy that game,
Absolutely.
but
Mhm.
but anyway, I think that 500 is nothing to shake a stick at. But
Yeah,
if you
that's
if you budget for it,
cheaper than even like a good refurbished TV, cheaper than a good desktop for sure. Like a desktop that will play the games you want to play. Like
mhm.
I think, yeah, that's something that's the model used to be a little different because I mean back when it was like PlayStation 2, like the a PC that could play a PS2 game, like you could go buy it part by part and probably spend like less at the time.
Yeah,
But now it's like way different. Like I don't think you could come anywhere near PlayStation 5 like hardware specs trying to like buy piecemeal
yeah.
or whatever you're trying to do to save money,
I don't
dig it
know
out of
what.
a trash can.
Yeah, I don't know what it is now, but there was a couple breakdown videos that placed. Now, granted, this was during COVID again, so prices were all over the place. But they estimated that if you were to build a PC of equivalent spec to a PS5, you'd be somewhere in like the $1,100 to $1,500 range,
Yeah,
not counting.
like 2 or 3 PS.
Yeah, so
That'll cover like yeah
you'd be
all the
like two to
games for
three
sure.
x. Now that's different. We're 4 years into it, so you could build something equivalent now for cheaper. And then you also don't get like some of the benefits. So like the PS5, because it's all engineered together, it's able to make use of like its hard drive in a very specific way, and it's got some sound processing and spatial audio and stuff that a PC would not have, and you'd have to navigate that through different means. But anyway, um, yeah,
And I got those like tuned to different like brain profiles audio. Is am I making that up? That's
yeah, they have the spatial audio where you can, particularly with the PlayStation 5's headsets, you can go through like a calibration that calibrates it
yeah,
directly to you.
yeah, that's wild. Like
Yeah,
I'm
I don't have
the
those. I have my Apple Pro Maxes, whatever they're called, AirPod, whatever. Um, that's what I used to if I ever. I'm old school, so I play on a TV in a living room like an old
yeah.
person. So
What don't you get when PlayStation Plus? Like probably just a small handful of like
well, there's a
game.
couple versions you can buy, but the top tier gives
Yeah.
you access to the streaming, which is like its catalog of PS2 and PS3 and some PS4 games.
Oh wow,
And
nice.
then the other one you get a variety of different. So I'm regularly when I'm because I do game club. I actually need to post a new game for this month's game club, and I kind of look through because I have this big list of games I want to check out. And generally, I try to also look for the ones that are free on PlayStation because one, I don't have to buy them, and then two, the people that are playing along with us with Game Club don't have to buy them either if they have a PlayStation. Or Games Pass has a lot of cool stuff too. All right, we're getting a little tight of time, so I just want to jump into these things real fast.
Oh, sure. Back to the news.
So just 2/3 of CD Projekt Red's developers are now working on The Witcher 4, which is its target staff
Oh boy.
size. So I think that's cool. I'm very excited about The Witcher 4.
Yeah.
We'll see what that looks like. But the big thing
Yeah.
here is CD Projekt Red doesn't see a place for microtransaction and single player games. Thank you. This is a CD. They're trying to claw back their cyberpunk street cred. But it says we don't see a place for transactions in the case of single player games, but we do not rule out that we will use this solution in the future in the case of multiplayer projects. So I think that at least for me, I'm glad there was some stuff around was it Dragon's Dogma that just came out that's got microtransactions. It just feels gross and scummy. I like I said,
What is it? Is it cosmetics or
I
like?
don't, I don't know what's in Dragon's Dogma, but it just seems like, oh, there's items or whatever.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is this giant, beautiful, awesome game, and there are currently 0 microtransactions in it. And
And what?
I just want, when I buy a game, I just want to have the game, right? I don't want to look at all the other stuff I should be able to have, but now I got to pay money for it, particularly if it's a game you already bought.
Contra, but you got to spend 10 cents to use the Contra code.
Yeah, you don't get your blue leotard if you don't pay $1.99.
Yeah, Ghosts and Goblins, but you got to pay 50 cents to have a armor level 2 at the start. Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
God,
remember when
yeah,
horse armor was
see,
a joke? The horse armor DLC,
oh,
and now here we
I
are.
remember when it was. I remember when it was a joke, and then it was immediately a mod.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um.
uh,
So yeah, I personally, we talk on this show a lot about the financial implications of the games industry and whatnot. And next week, our special guest currently is Renee Gittins, who formerly of IGDA and the executive director, and also just released a new game that she's been working on for like near a decade, I think. So she's going to be our guest next week. So make sure to check that out. But we'll be talking to
yeah,
her
that's awesome.
about the finances of the games industry, both from her personal experience and as the IGDA rep. But I just feel like we need to start finding ways to monetize that are fair and ethical, as it were.
Yeah, I'll say it does definitely feel. I kind of agree that a game feels different if it's single player versus multiplayer, and it feels weird to have microtransactions for a single player game. It's like the painting on your wall asking for money, or like the book you're reading asking for money.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, dude,
it's
it's so. Do you have a Kindle? So I bought a Kindle Paperwhite like 2 years ago, and I love it. I think it's great. I used to read a book a week. I was reading a book a week for a while, and I've kind of fallen off of that. I'm gonna try to get back into it, but there's just never enough time for everything. I got to stop working. But there's an option when you buy it for like $20 more that it won't have an ad on the front screen before you turn it on. And it's just like it just strikes me as weird. It's like I'm buying this product from you, of which the books I will be using I will also be buying from you. And now you're advertising directly to me on it unless I give you money. And it's just like it just feels
yeah.
gross to me.
The money that's an actuarial calculated was
Yeah.
the lifespan
And
earnings from the ads
And I
or
don't for a
something.
second fucking buy that, like, well, we could just charge you more money and then not have the ad version. I just don't buy that for a second. It's like, you guys are charging the extra $20 or whatever it is because you can.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an actual valid use case. You could charge the discounted price for your Kindles and make it up on the backside on all your book sales. But, you know,
If they weren't literally Amazon, I would be like, oh well, they got servers to run. But because they're literally Amazon, yeah, they don't like. I mean, it's sort of like just on the like fringes of their normal operations. I mean, it's not like versus their baseline operations. the amount of data flowing through. The Kindle is a speck
Yeah.
on the horse's hide. I mean, so like, yeah, being like, oh yeah, we need this ad revenue to like run the servers. I mean, I guess internally there's people pushing for that. I'm sure they're like, oh, we want to make sure the Kindle is self-sufficient. We're not like ultimately spending money to keep
I think it's
Kindles
doing.
in
I
operation.
think it's doing just fine. Um,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I don't know what the Kindles let you load local data. Like if you had an ebook on your computer, would you be able to load it on the Kindle?
you can, but over time, it's becoming progressively more challenging to do it, and the amount of like formats that they accept
Yeah,
is dwindling. So there
they're
there
trying
are
to
things like there's an app called it's Calibre, I think, that allows you to do like side loading of.
jailbreak your Kindle. Yeah.
Well, you don't jailbreak it. It just will insert it into your library. So, but yeah. Well, we got a few minutes left, and I want to bring up a couple things real quick. The first is, and I'm curious,
Say people
people,
got servers to run. We got servers to run now
yeah,
too. So we gotta like, yeah,
the people in the chat and on the YouTube comments. Tom and I have been talking behind the scenes about doing another show that's a little bit more technically oriented. So I'd be curious to hear people's thoughts on that, where we could talk about things like Unity and Unreal and different like more programming centric stuff conversations. So those would be like some pretty deep dives, and most of which would be out of my wheelhouse, but at least I could probably pretend and ask good questions, I would think.
wind me up and let me go.
Yeah, so if that's something that people are interested in, let us know in the chat or
Yeah, if you
in,
got any specific things you'd be interested in us like talking about or like being dissected,
mm,
like I'd love to dig in deep. And I'm really interested in like the systems that people build and the people that use them and why. And want to bring a human side to it as well. Not just going to be like tech jargon the whole time, but we're going to try to make it layperson, relatable and stuff. So,
yeah. I
um,
mean, how many languages slash I don't know frameworks or platforms do you feel like you know pretty well at this point?
I have like like 6 or 7 probably. Like, but it's more like just like the patterns underlying all of them are like the same. So eventually you're just like, oh yeah, this is that, but in this language, and you kind of just everything's a metaphor of something else. So once you get like once people get more than two, I think there's usually you're just at the point where you're just able to look at, and it's good to have a couple different. I mean, specific to programming, I'd say it's good to know at least one like functional language, because those are kind of they have a very different structure, even though
What
they
what
are
would a
doing
what
the
would a
same things.
what would a functional language be?
Like, so think like there, it's a little bit obscure, but like a language like Lisp, is a functional language. I think a more modern one that people have been using is yeah, is it called Scala? It's called um shoot. It'll come to me as soon as I stop thinking about it. But it's basically like the idea of it is that unlike a tradition, like if you think of a normal programming language, you'd call imperative, which is just like saying you're going step by step, you're going down a list. Each step can maybe make changes, can maybe like have an effect on the system, but ultimately, like the system is able to go from step to step. In a functional system, there's like it's more, instead of like a list straight down, you're almost like descending down, because you're like everything's a function, so everything has an input and an output, so you've got to like set up your structure so that it like goes down the chain and then comes back up the chain. It's just very different than like a step-by-step system. It's like a like a kind of just descending down into like layers. It's hard to define, like, or it's hard to describe in a way that's like visually spatial, because it kind of defies that, but it is equivalent. So like there's nothing that you can do with that you can't do with the step-by-step language, but it makes it a lot more elegant to solve certain kinds of problems. So it's like good to know about, like, that those are out there, because they're going to look wildly different than other
Mm-hmm.
languages. So if you have at least one in your belt, then you're like, oh yeah, you can grok it, you can like relate to it. So
Okay.
that's the kind of thing. It's like having a variety, because you can say I know 10 languages, but if they're all C like, then you really just know a bunch of flavors of C. You know a bunch of dialects of English or something. Or like several
Yeah.
romantic European languages that all have a ton of crossbleed with each other. Versus like, yeah, I know like a European language and a Native American language and like an Asiatic language. Like, you can be African language. You can be super diverse and have like 4 languages under your belt, but be way more flexible and adaptable than someone who has like 10 or 12. So that's the
Sure.
way I see it.
Okay.
But
Well, like
yeah,
I said,
like
if people are interested in
just
us,
a taste, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll go
starting
off
another
on
show, um,
tangents like that if people want us to, for sure.
yeah, and you can just talk until your heart's content, I guess, Tom.
I'd love
Um,
to.
and then I got to think about. I had this great. So we had the big storms yesterday, and baby had like an upset stomach. I think maybe from the stress of the storm. So I didn't get like any sleep. We were out
Yeah.
doing late night potties several times where she didn't actually, I think, had to go potty. I think her belly was just upset and she didn't know what to do.
More
But when I
pressure
was
in the
walking here
air.
this morning, I was like, oh man, I've got this great idea for a blog post and I can maybe talk to Tom about it for a few minutes. And then I forgot what it was.
Ah,
So I'm going to try
shoot.
to root around in there, kind of scrub up the
That's like
brain.
brain chip function number one. I mean, if they're talking about Neuralink or whatever, like that's
Yeah.
probably like the most useful thing is like
Well,
immediate reminder.
I violated my rule. I always try to have a pen and paper with me so when I think about something, I can write it down so I don't have to remember. But I was just out walking her this morning and I didn't
Yeah.
have it with me. So I don't know what today's topic for the blog is going to be, but I'm going to come up with something or I'm
Yeah.
not. One of the two
I,
options are going to be there.
I I was gonna tinker on to try to contribute to the blog effort. I was gonna start somewhere that I felt like I can like have a narrative structure around, which is like kind of the project management tools we've used throughout our past, like starting up as a startup, like we were using like passing each other notes, and we've like got on Red Booth, and
Yeah,
like
yeah, we had
try to map everything out and see if we did
Teambox,
anything.
Red Booth.
Teambox, yeah.
We're on Hack and
And I
Plan
thought
now.
it'd be cool to like kind of show that progression, like the pros and cons of different approaches of like a team to like manage themselves. Like I thought that could be a nice blog, maybe mini series where you maybe just starting at the early days and like how teams organize without tools, and then be like,
Yeah,
here's a simple tool you can like, and then like now we're on Hack and Plan, and like here's why that is useful to us from the context of coming at it without a tool like that. And then talking about other things that are out there, like the professional tools that like like Jira, Confluence, which is like really in vogue these days. But that's my idea for a little blog post to get us started, at least from my end of things, and then more technical blog posts to come, I'm sure.
sweet.
um
Well, let's
but
do it.
yeah.
Well, hopefully my brain will kick on at some point today and I'll
Brain.
remember what I was going to talk, because I was like, oh yeah, that'd be really exciting to talk about. And now I have forgotten. It has fluttered away into the ether. But I think this is a good place to stop. Tom, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope sometime I can be on with Ross, because he's super cool and always chatting at him from the chat box. And
Yeah, totally. Yeah, this has been episode 17 of the Sandbox.Space weekly podcasts, the podcast talking about games and the gaming industry. We are live every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern on Twitch/GDEX TV. Or actually, I think it's the GDEX, isn't it? We had
the
it's the
GDEX,
GDEX on Twitch. Our YouTube is GDEX TV because for some reason, whatever, we couldn't do both. But anyway, every Wednesday at 10 a.m., I am your host, Chris, joined as always by Baby and Pumpkin over there causing trouble. Our special guest, Tom, thank you. And then remember, you can join our, oh my God, my brain, our mail list. If you go to the Sandbox.Space, make sure the is in there. And you can put your email in for the mail list. And so every week you will get a new email that features the articles that we talk about today, as well as generally a blog post of some kind by myself or a special guest. And then some fun updates for community stuff. And of course, our GDEX Expo, which is coming up October 24th through the 27th. Keep an eye out if you're interested in exhibiting. We're still taking exhibiting spaces, and we just opened our volunteer applications yesterday. So if you're interested in volunteering for GDEX, which takes place in beautiful Columbus, Ohio, then please spread the word. Come join us. It is the game industry event, particularly for developers in the Midwest. And I think this is going to be a really exciting year. But otherwise, thank you all for watching, participating in the chat, and we will see you next week.
Carry on.